we spoke about it last night. There are a couple of ways to make unity. One way is for all of us to do tshuva and understand the truth, and therefore we're all going to read from the same Torah, which means that it doesn't matter whether your custom is to eat gefilte fish and my custom is to eat chaimi, or your custom is to eat spicy food and my custom is to eat food that you may not consider edible. That's not going to matter to me. Whether you eat milk and fish together and I don't, that's not going to matter to me. What's going to matter to me is who is living the Torah, who's following the Torah. That's solution number one. If all of us do tshuva, then we will unite just like Am Yisrael united at the time of Mount Sinai. That is the best solution. We all do tshuva, we're all chasing the truth together. Other option, Holocaust number 2. That's the options. Right. Those are the two options that are available. If Am Yisrael does not do tshuva, the Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, says another Holocaust is coming. But much worse than the first one. Much worse than anything we've ever seen. And the reality is that we're seeing a lot of things happen today because of the fundamental flaws within our system. I'll give you a few examples. Today you have a systematic failure in the limud, both in the religious and the non-religious. It's not just the religious, it's not just the non-religious. If you go to the non-religious world, they tell you that you came from a monkey. But if you're dying, pray to God. You came from a monkey, but if you're dying, pray to God. You already have a confusion here. Why shouldn't I pray? Maybe I should pray to my grandpa the monkey. Like, why God? Where does God come along? People don't understand why and who and what. Are very, very confused. But yet, parents that know this, because they went to public school, still insist on sending their kids to public school. Knowing that the education is flawed, knowing that the education is full of lies, they still send their kids to public school. Why? They don't want to pay for yeshiva. They don't want to pay for yeshiva. It's too expensive, it's too this, it's too that. Listen, do you understand that your kid is going to grow up thinking he came from a monkey? Like, is that not bad enough? Do you realize that there's a very high chance that the school he goes to may get shot up, because in America, one school per week is getting shot up? Like, do you understand the risks associated with sending your kid just for the sake of saving a few $100s? Oh, I can't afford it. Well, plenty of other people can afford it. Ask them for help. Why? Because your kid's life is on the line. So, people don't understand the consequence of sending their kids to inappropriate schools. So sometimes they say, no, I'm not sending him to completely public school. I'm going to send him to a Jewish school. What's a Jewish school? It's Jewish kids that attend public school. That's really what it is, because one or two of the classes teach them a little bit about Judaism. What does that actually create? Heretics. Generally speaking, no tzaddikim come out of schools like this. Very rarely do they actually come out of tzaddikim. They may become tzaddikim later on in their life, but they don't graduate tzaddikim. Why? All you did is confuse them for 8 years straight. Wait, am I allowed to be with a girl? Not allowed to be with a girl without marriage. Wait, am I allowed to eat this? Not allowed. They're not even sure what's allowed, what's not. Why? Because in essence, on one end, you're saying nothing's allowed. On the other end, you're allowing everything in front of them. So, in essence, all you're doing is you're confusing the kid. You're saying no, but you're doing yes. The kid comes out, he's 15, 16, 17 years old. He has no idea what's real Judaism, because to him, it used to be not allowed, but now it's allowed. It used to be not good. At the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, you weren't allowed to drive on Shabbat. But why? They didn't have cars. That's his logic of a 15-year-old. He says, it used to be not allowed, but now it's allowed. Why? Because hey, no one said anything when I did it. So they send him to these fake Jewish schools and create atheists, create confused Jewish people. Next, you have the yeshiva system. Unfortunately, not all yeshivas are built the same, but nonetheless, many of them, and every one of them that I know of, has a common element. They do not teach people the basic fundamentals of Judaism, which means the 13 ikarim, the 13 principles of faith, predominantly reward and punishment. Many Talmidei Yeshiva come to me telling me they've never heard consequences of their actions. Even though they've gone to Yeshiva 15, 20 years. Never heard that there's punishment. They heard it exists, but don't really know the details and don't think it's relevant to them. Further, there are certain sins in the Torah, like HaBRIT, that the Shulchan Aruch says this is the biggest sin in the Torah. The Zohar HaKadosh says this is the Tikkun of the generation before Mashiach. And my wife, she's Talmidah Chachama. My wife says that's why Corona came. The coronavirus, she says that's why it came. Why? Because we have 200,000 CDs in China right now, waiting to come out because these CDs are about HaBRIT, how to fix the Brit. Corona is the medical term for the Brit. That's my wife. She's Talmidah Chachama. She has chidushim. Point being, Rabotai Yekarim, is to, aside from making you smile, is also to teach you that this is a big deal. Not knowing about something that's considered the biggest sin in the Torah, it's a big deal. Why? You're 18, 19, 20, 25 years old. You thought you're religious. You wake up. I'm making the biggest sin in the Torah every single day. Hashem yirachem. The guy's praying to Hashem. Hashem rejects his prayer. He doesn't know why. Because he never learned this. So now you have yourself a situation where even if you send your kid to yeshiva, you cannot guarantee, unless you check yourself what is in the curriculum, you cannot guarantee your kid is going to graduate with adequate knowledge of a Jew. Worst yet, many schools do not check who the teachers are carefully enough. Because when it comes to secular studies, they simply allow anyone that knows the material and is willing to work for the lowest amount of income. That's how it works. So you could teach history. How much you going to charge us? $50,000 a year. Expensive. How much you going to charge us for history? $40,000. Oh, good. Hired. The fact whether he knows or he doesn't know is irrelevant. $40,000, we'll hire him. $30,000, we'll hire him. We're hiring based on salary. What's the problem? What if he's a missionary? What if he's a Muslim missionary? What if he's a Christian missionary? Now, once he becomes a missionary, it doesn't matter how much he charges. It doesn't matter even if he pays you. You're not allowed to stand next to him, let alone not hire him. Unfortunately, almost every single school that I know of that's Jewish has either Christians or Muslims, missionaries working at some point in the staff. Many times teachers. Well, I asked the teachers, the principal, how come you hire this guy? No, he's only teaching history. He's only teaching science. He's only the gym teacher. He's only the this. He's not really Christian. He was just born Christian, but really is atheist. I said, atheism is a religion. Atheism is a religion. And in fact, they're a very, very zealous religion. Atheists do not stay atheists by themselves. They love company because they're miserable. They want to make everybody else atheists. I wish we were as zealous as the atheists. If the Jews were as zealous as the atheists, the whole world will be Jewish. Because there's no atheist that stays by himself. He has to have a bunch of atheist friends. And he has to let everybody know why they're stupid for believing in God. He has to. He makes videos about it. He has websites about it. He makes fun of people that talk about God. An atheist cannot stay quiet for his life. Atheism is a religion 100%. If your teacher in your Jewish school is an atheist, you are hiring a missionary. If he is a Christian, he's a missionary. Why? It's part of their religion in Christianity is to missionize. If you're not a missionary, then you're not a religious Christian. But you still can't hire him. Why? It's only a matter of time before he does tshuva in his own religion. Muslim, if you don't do dawah, which is their form of missionizing, you're almost considered a kofel, a heretic in the Muslim world. Meaning, it's ingrained into them that you have to bring more people. You have to bring more people. And that's why they're investing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into the Jewish world to make Jewish people go to their religion. So if you as a parent, you as a member of the community, you as a part of a board, you as a part of simply Am Yisrael, want to help, you have to make sure that the community knows that they're not allowed to hire non-Jewish teachers. Simply not allowed. Why? Because at some way or another, they're going to get to the kids. And I can tell you countless stories that I dealt with personally. Not hearsay, not invented stories. I didn't even read them in a book. Stories I deal with on a daily basis because of these teachers. of kids going to Christianity, kids going to atheism, kids going to all types of things inside from yeshivot. Just this morning, a mother started crying to me from Florida, saying to me, everything you said was right 4 months ago. I wish I wouldn't listen to you. I said, why? She said, I sent my little kid, my 7, 8-year-old kid, to yeshiva. We borrow money just to pay for the school. He comes home to me yesterday. Ima, I learned about Yoshke. In yeshiva, I learned about Yoshke. He said, where'd you learn about him? How do you know his name? Oh no, my history teacher told us. That's what's the difference between him and me, he said. I like his Yoshke, he says. Now go take that out of the 7-year-old's mind. Good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. You know how much teachings you have to undo that one moment? That one moment is going to impact this kid maybe for the rest of his life. Now whose fault is that? Needless to say, the teachers over there. Needless to say, the principals over there. But also needed to say, the community, who didn't act as supportive watchdog and at the same time caring enough about who our teachers are. Because the system is failing. So we have the secular schools are teaching us that we came from monkeys. We have the so-called Jewish schools are creating atheists. And then we have many of the religious schools that are not teaching us enough. Or better yet, they're teaching us the opposite because they're not careful with their teachers. So we have a systemic failure altogether. How can we fix it? What's the solution? The solution starts with whoever we see in the mirror first. When you look in the mirror, you fix that person. Start with that person. Start fixing yourself. Start working on yourself. Start becoming more religious yourself. The more religious you become, the more merits you will have in order to impact the world around you. Because now, if you come as a person who doesn't keep much, and you go to the yeshiva and you start yelling at them, they're going to tell you, listen, go, you're the last one to yell at anybody. You're not even keeping anything. But if you start impacting yourself, you start changing yourself, and you start supporting financially, socially, and so on, you'll have more to say. You'll have more to influence. You'll send your kids to this school. You'll become more involved. You do it, you get your friend to do it, your friend gets his friend to do it, and her friend to do it. Before you know it, you have a nice group. Everybody comes to the school together. Says, listen, we do not want a Christian teacher in a school. Okay, ma'am, thank you very much for not wanting Christian people in the school, but this is what we have. No, your principal, Kvod Harav, we have a solution. Each one of us is going to come up with $5,000, $3,000, $2,000 to hire a Jewish teacher. Meaning, we're not asking you to do something that you can't do, that you're saying you can't afford. No problem. We're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for the teacher. Once you tell people that you're putting your money where your mouth is, tell them, listen, we want a Jewish teacher and we're going to pay for it. Guess what they're going to say? No problem. Why don't you come sooner? Why don't you come sooner? But the problem is that many times people come with screaming, yelling, and criticizing and no solution. It's like, you fix the problem, you do, you. Or what are you going to do? I'm just going to complain here. Nobody likes a complainer. You have to help. You have to help, do something. And that's the key. This is very, very important. If a community gets more involved with a common interest to help Klal Israel get closer to HaShem, then we will indeed create unity, real unity. Or there's a second option that I always have to remind myself of, which is the Holocaust. That's the only other unity we know that exists. That's it. That's what Yaakov Avinu says to his sons in the Torah. At the end of the book of Genesis, Sefer Bereshit, Yaakov Avinu tells his sons, let me come and tell you what is in chapter 49 of Genesis, verse number 1 and 2. Yaakov Avinu tells his sons, ויקרא יעקב אל בניו ויאמר אאספו ואגיד לכם את אשר יקרא אתכם באחרית הימים. יקבצו וישמעו בני יעקב וישמעו אל ישראל אביכם. Yaakov calls for his sons and says, assemble yourselves, and I will tell you what will befall you in the end of days. Gather yourselves and listen, O sons of Yaakov, and listen to Israel your father. So Here we see that Yaakov was planning on telling his sons, the 12 tribes, what's going to happen before Mashiach comes. But then Rashi says he forgot, meaning Hashem took away. He didn't want to give the details of what's going to happen, the exact time of when it's going to be, because that's going to mess with our free choice. If we know exactly when Mashiach is going to come, it could alter our free choice, if you will. But he did leave us a very, very big hint. First, Yaakov Avinu says, E'asfu, assemble. Then he says, Ikabtsu, gather. Why is the first time he says assemble, and then he says gather? In essence, in English, there's really not much of a difference. They're synonyms, really. It's the same word, just spelled differently. But in Hebrew, there's a world of difference. In Hebrew, when it says asfu, is get here into one room. Get here, sit here, everybody's got their own seat. Ikaptsu, put yourself in a situation where there is no other place in the world better than this. There is no other choice out there. You are together whether you like it or not. You're stuck together. You're stuck together. He says, this is what's going to happen at the end of days. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to want you guys to get together. Really, really close. But you are only going to assemble. Meaning, get together, but we're only going to get together for the holidays. We're only going to get together for the parties, for the bar mitzvah, for the the weddings, and so on. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, my friends. You, my children, have to ikaptsu. You have to get together. So one way or another, you're going to get to a place where you're not going to know there's anything else in the world. But you have only two options. It's either going to be through the Torah, or it's going to be through a Chas v'Shalom Holocaust. Why? In the time of the Holocaust, after the Holocaust happened, during the Holocaust, no one cared if you were religious or not. Once the Hitler decided you're a Jew, that's it, you were a Jew. Religious, not religious, irrelevant. Once he decided you're a Jew, even if you're not really halachically Jewish, he decided you're a Jew, and that's it. You're on the list. You may make it, you may not make it. That was the reality of that day. You put a star on you, you're finished. After the Holocaust, after 6 million of our brothers and sisters were murdered in cold blood, the rest of them tried to go back home. Why? They were looking for Jews. They were looking for Jews. How do I know if somebody's Jewish? One common denominator. They only weigh about 50, 60 pounds. That's how you knew he was Jewish. So they went back to Poland. They went back to Kozno. They went back to all places all over Europe. They went back to their houses, but the Goyim took over their houses. As soon as they opened the door, it's like, Hitler didn't finish you. So imagine, you've just suffered several years of a Holocaust. You come back to your house and they tell you, oh, you're alive still. Some people didn't get back their houses. And some people, even after they got back their houses, they left anyway. Why? There wasn't enough Jews that survived in the community, and they just couldn't tolerate being around Goyim. So they left their town, they left their house, they left the little bit that they had left in the world just to go find more Jews. Because at some point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you're going to have to realize you are different from everybody else. You're different from everybody else. You have to unite with the rest of Am Yisrael. And you should unite with them through good, through the Torah. If you do that, you will succeed.